Bam. We're live here. We're live there. All right. Hey, Timothy. Welcome. All right. We are getting started. This is day 31 and of the I do 100 days straight for AI challenge. And welcome everybody. So let me start sharing my screen. So if you move over to the YouTube, you'll see that I have a screen share. And those of you on TikTok, as always, just put in any comments that you have. Let me know where you're from, Timothy, and let me know what's your niche? What specialty do you do within remodeling? All right, I'll get this screen set up. Patrick, welcome. Please, if you're a remodeler, please let me know what your niche is, where you're from, and we'll get started. All right. So here's the deal in remodeling. Sometimes you're not even sure why your sales work, why they don't. Like it could be something that you say, it just could be the way that you're being. It could be your natural personality as a default compared to the homeowner's natural personality by default. So it helps to get clarity. And if you want to, I welcome folks. Most people call Patrick, Gary. Yeah, if you guys would just let me know where you're from or what specialty you do if you're a remodeler. And I'm going to talk about how to not be how to close those deals without sounding as they say cheesy. All right, so let's get started. Welcome. All right, now you guys are starting to pop in. Welcome. Big Mike Ruminik. Yeah, by all means, if you guys want to just let me know where you're from or what specialty you do, like are you a kitchen guy, bath guy, do you do siding? Lonnie, Larry, welcome. Mike Bark, welcome. All right, well, we're going to get started. Again, just Bradley, just put in what specialty you do. All right. So, why does the closing sequence matter, right? Painter from Georgia. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Awesome. So, the reality is that I get it. Like, if you're in the trades, usually talking and selling, as they say, is not what you want to do. You like working. You like creating your thing. If it's painting, you like painting. If you're into sheetrock, cabinetry, carpentry, right? And most of us would rather just do the work and not have to deal with all the mental head games that communicating brings up. Unfortunately, to have a successful business, you need someone in the company that's going to go and do your sales process, present your jobs. It doesn't have to be you, but somebody has to do it. And you want someone who's good at it because that's what makes or breaks the difference. Hello, guys. Welcome. Yep. If you guys have please just let me know what trade you do and where you're from, and I'll get keep going here. So why does all this matter? Right? You want to make sure you're not pushing people. Your homeowners can sense when you have fear and when you're coming off cheesy, aggressive, or desperate, right? And that's when the homeowner just starts. Yeah, hola, nice, Kent. Thanks for being here. That's when they'll just trail off and stop paying attention as much. They'll start acting disengaged. They're gonna say, "Yeah, just let me know." Um, You hope that the client, everything will circle back. They'll tell you, we'll catch up later. But hope, I've brought this up before, hope's not a strategy, right? And some guys literally they're addicted to hope, right? It's like you're a hopium addict. And this is you. If you just meet with someone and then send them an email and you're hoping that it's all going to work out, yeah, you're addicted to hope. You in the sales process, a proper process, you don't leave an interaction without setting up the next appointment, the next move. It's like playing chess. So if a homeowner calls you and then you ask a couple questions before that call ends, somebody's determining whether you guys are going to meet again, talk more, right? It's either you deciding it or the homeowner's deciding it. So if you're weeding out the lead, then you're choosing to see whether you want to set a follow-up appointment, which typically would be an on-site visit. And then the homeowner's also trying to weed out to see if they want to spend the time with you as well. But you don't leave the phone call just hoping that they'll call you back. No, you set it up. Well, when you come out and meet with them and you start discussing the project, never again leave the homeowner's house and say, yeah, I'll just email you the estimate. No, that's hope. What you say is, we will set up another time to meet and go over it. If that's your process, that's what I do. Is I will go out to the vehicle typically and create the estimate while I'm still on site and present it while I'm there, right? I am not emailing it and waiting and hoping. I want a definitive answer. That's a professional sales process. There's no emailing and there's no hope. Confidence closes, structure closes, leadership closes. You show the homeowner that you have a process and you're a professional and you know what you're doing and you know what things cost. And this is how we do it. And this is how it's all built off of ARI. That's the applied relational intelligence. All right, you guys, a bunch of you hopping in. Welcome, welcome. If there's anything, if you have any questions, just let me know. All right. We are talking about remodeling sales for contractors. Remember, you don't pressure the homeowner, you lead the homeowner. All right. So here's part one. The problem with what we call soft closing, right? Most remodelers, I was guilty of this as well, make 1 to 3 mistakes at the end of a sales call. Okay. And here's how it starts looking. They say, right, let me know what you think. You don't want to say that to the homeowner. Like, you don't tell them, I'm going to email this to you and just let me know what you think. This puts all the power back into the homeowner's hands. That's not a proper sales process. You don't want to wait for the client to bring up the next steps. You want to have an actual discussion where you get the elephant. You talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the next steps. So, guys, I've been out here for a while. I've talked about it. I understand what you want. I've shared with you how we could go forward. And are you ready to proceed? Right? That's the natural next step. That's the whole reason you're out there. So you have to ask for the sale, which is, are you ready to proceed? Don't talk in circles and hoping for a yes. Okay. Be definitive, be confident. Your whole goal, it's kind of like, imagine that you worked at the fast food restaurant and the client, the homeowner comes up to the counter and you're like, well, we got hamburgers, we got chicken. And I tell you what, I'll put together an estimate and I'll send it over to you and you guys can just order later. No, the homeowner's there. Like, let them know that this is what that's going to cost. And here's how you proceed. Do you want to hand me a credit card? Is it going to be cash? Like, the next natural step is to make a decision. All right. So this is the non-salesy closing framework. And yeah, Bronco Cutie, welcome. If I can answer any questions about remodeling, please let me know. So you want to recap the problem. What I'm hearing is that you're feeling stuck. You want a space that finally works for your family and you want it done right the first time. That's exactly what we help with. So you want to show the homeowner that you've listened to them, you understand their problem, and you want to reinforce, right, and connect with their emotions. What is their buyer driver, it's called? What is it that's driving them to make a decision? All right. So then you have to do what's called anchor to the emotion. So this isn't just about a new kitchen, it's about your home finally feeling like yours again, right? Comfortable, functional, peaceful. Connect to their deeper emotion, remind them why all this matters. And hey, Jay Bravos, welcome. Let them know that you're here. Hey, Winston, welcome. Um, you are there for the homeowner. Your whole goal in the remodeling process is to help them make the home what they want it to be. Okay. For their future self, how they envision themselves living down the road. Hey, Winston, welcome. Thank you. So you're going to offer the plan, not the project. So this is one thing you'll want to come back and watch this again on the replay, is that the next step isn't jumping into construction. It's starting the planning phase, right? That's where we build out the design, the scope, we clarify and get a definitive answer on what the investment range is going to be. So this way the homeowner feels very clear, fully clear before moving forward. This is how you reduce risk, and this is how you increase trust. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming on. If I can answer any questions for you about remodeling, please let me know. All right. So how do you state like this price, the actual investment that the homeowner is going to be making without getting nervous, without flinching? So you just let it roll right off your tongue. I mean, if somebody was come into your restaurant and order an appetizer, you would let them know exactly what it is and how much it costs if they ask. So in remodeling, you just move right forward. You go, we charge $2,500 for the planning phase for a project like yours. And if one of the nice things about working with our company is when we're complete with this design phase, that amount that you've invested in the design plan, when you hire us to perform the future remodel, we credit you back that towards the construction costs, right? So this way, what you're going to get from us is all your selections, a complete schedule, a definitive schedule, price, and scope of work. So you'll understand everything, and there will be no more questions about what it's going to take to get this remodel completed. And you're very calm, you're direct, you're confident, there's no defensiveness, and you're not apologetic. All right. So then we have what's called, the other way to go is there's something called the permission close. And, hey, Mr. Miss Smith, if everything makes sense, then I can go ahead and get the agreement together right now, right? And let's walk through it. Would you like to get started? So you're not emailing it to them. Those of you that have laptops, like what I would do is, especially because I was meeting with people usually midday or afternoon, I would say, why don't you take care of a thing or two around the house? While you're doing that, I'm going to go out to my vehicle. I'm going to compile your proposal, the estimate for you. And I'll do it up on the computer, and then I'll bring it back in. And I had a printer in the vehicle, so I work off of a spare battery. You can get what's called an isolator, and you can run that and then run a spare battery and put that under the back seat in the vehicle. And you can connect that to a small printer, and you can just print documents right there on site. It's no big deal, right? Well, you need an inverter too. All right. So this is how you move forward, because you don't want to be hoping and waiting on emails. So, all right, the research does prove that this works. If you're concerned about just taking my word for it, fair enough. It works for me. It works for hundreds of other people across the country. But you may say, I don't know if it's going to work in my case. Well, you can understand this. MIT. Hello, guys. Welcome. We're just talking about closing sales as a remodeling contractor. If you want to let me know where you're from, what your specialty or niche is, and if you have any questions, fire away. So in just a year ago, in 2024, there was a study from the MIT, it's the Sloan Management Review, and it was called Acing Value-Based Sales, whatever that is, right? But here's what it is. They found that the top performing sales teams across different industries, they don't close with pressure. They're not high pressure salespeople at all. They close because they co-create value with the customer. They're advocates, right? If any of you are in the healthcare world, a lot of times there's an advocate that comes alongside and helps guide a person through all the complicated choices that have to be made when it comes to health choices and health care. In remodeling, you want to be the homeowner's advocate on how to solve their health problem with the house. The house has a health problem, right? And that's what you're there to solve, the health of the house problem. All right. So you don't pitch, you guide, right? You focus on the outcome and you build the trust and alignment. It's not product oriented, it's not price oriented. If all of your talk is being spent focusing on, like, well, it's going to be this kind of cabinetry and this, and it's going to be this much for that, like you've already are going down the wrong path of a proper professional salesperson. What you want to do is be focused more on outcomes, trust, and alignment. All right. So, in fact, companies that use the trust-based closing frameworks, they see higher margins, so they're more profitable. They have better conversion rates, so they have to meet with less people, and they have fewer objections. When you have a sales process this way, objections become a thing of the past because you've already dealt with it and brought it up before you asked for the signature or before you asked for permission to move forward. Tahoe man, welcome. If you want to put in where you're from or what niche or specialty you do in the remodeling world, that'd be great. All right. So companies that use the trust-based closing framework, and you would use ARI to do this. This is that applied relational intelligence, which we talk about a lot. That gives you the power to lead the client, and you're not selling to them. You're just offering a solution to a problem. They get to choose, right? This is a system that you can use regardless of a $2,000, $20,000, $200,000, $2 million deal. It doesn't make a difference. It's just the numbers are what they are. The scope is what it is. The schedule is what it is. But the process in how you execute is the same, right? Because you're not going to let numbers make you nervous. Because when you follow a proper process, you're going to make profit every time, unless you're completely in over your head. All right. I can't help you if that's your situation. All right. So let's get into the translation here for remodelers. So how do we bring all this home? Welcome to any of you that are new here. If you have any questions, if you want to let me know where you're from, if you're a remodeler and what your niche or specialty is, that would be great. Just put that in the chat. Okay. So remember, as a remodeler, you're not just selling tile, cabinets, drywall. You're selling certainty, security, and simplicity. So when you are educated and have understood the homeowner's problem and you recap their problem, and then you're able to reflect their emotion, you can offer that low risk plan and you can confidently share price as you ask permission to move forward. Mr. and Ms. Smith, do you feel that I adequately understand the problem that you're experiencing? Do you feel that you've shared everything that you wanted to make sure I was aware of in regards to how you wanted the new space to look, feel, be? And have you gone over adequately with me the level of investment that you're willing to make? Okay, so can I move forward now? Like, you ask for permission. All right, what I'd like to do is put together the proposal. Would that be all right with you? Is there anything else that you need me to address before I do that? You see what I mean? You bring up the possibility that they might have an objection. You don't wait for them, because you're not convincing them. You're helping them decide. This is what an advocate does. And that's the difference between just another contractor who gets lowballed and has to settle for cheap prices. And then there's the professional remodeler who walks out with proper profit every time. All right. So for your AI prompt, here's where we bring it home. This is your homework, as they say. You're the remodeling sales. You put this into your favorite AI machine, whether that's Grok, Chat, um, Claude, DeepSeek. You're a remodeling sales expert. You're trained in ARI, which is the Applied Relational Intelligence. You can get that foundation from us here at the Remodeling Academy. Reach out to me and I'll get you that set up. So now you're going to utilize that model, the ARI. You're going to create a natural, confident 5-step closing sequence that guides the homeowner from emotional clarity into a paid plan agreement. Very straightforward. Hey, Alaska and Lola, you were on one other time and I was not paying attention to the comments and I missed yours. So please forgive that. I've been working on making sure I'm using all the screens so I can see when people comment. Anyhow, welcome. Um, all right. So for this AI prompt that you're going to put in, right, you want to make sure that you're understanding the emotional clarity and turning it into a paid planning agreement. Your tone is calm. It's leadership based. So you're speaking from confidence and experience. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. So awesome. And it's completely pressure free. See, when I meet with a homeowner, I'm an advocate. I'm not there to sell them anything. They have the problem. There is something that isn't what they want in their house. I'm a person that provides a solution. I most likely can repair, put in, change, alter, whatever it is that they don't like about their house. I am the one that is the bridge. I'm going to make it the way that they want it. So I don't have the problem. The homeowner has the problem. The house has the problem. What ends up happening often is the homeowner doesn't understand cost. So they want more than they can afford or they're willing to invest. And then they try to make it seem like I have the problem with the price. It's not my problem. It's your problem. You're trying to do too much. You didn't understand what you're getting yourself into. Let me help you take some things out of your shopping cart, right? So that when you exit out of the grocery store, you can afford everything that you're trying to buy for your family. So the problem's over there. The homeowner has the problem. You know, Mr. Miss Smith, sounds to me like you've got a problem. You have all these wants and you have a limited budget. So how are we going to solve that for you? How are we going to work? Are we going to do it in phases? Are you going to look at getting financing? Do you need some alternative sources of income? Right? Do you want to talk to me about financing? Are we going to put some on a credit card? They have the problem. I don't. Would you like it to cost less? Absolutely can cost less. What is it that we are not going to do? Right? What are we taking out of the shopping cart? Because you have to put it in simple terms. If they go to the grocery store and they load up with like 60 fillets and a bunch of shrimp, and then they get up, they only have $100 in their pocket. And when they go to check out and the cashier says that's $250, they don't turn to the cashier and say, well, I mean, you can do it for less, right? What if I just give you this cash? No, the cashier looks at them and says, I'm sorry, you're going to have to put some things back on the shelf. You don't have the money, or you're not willing to come up with the money to purchase everything that's in your shopping cart. You have to put things back. So as a remodeler, you use the same language to the homeowner. It's not my problem is the price. Your problem is the price. So that's how you guide and educate. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. And, but when you talk that way, the homeowner starts to get it. But never go back on your toes. If the homeowner says, are you sure about that price? You'd be like, well, actually, I could revisit it. Most likely I missed something. It's probably going to be more. But yes, I can go back over it. It's never that you're wrong, that it's too little or it's too much. That's not the problem. If anything, it's too little. So just start practicing those responses so that whenever a homeowner questions you about price, you can say, I appreciate you sharing that. We've had a lot of other people share that. Help me understand what exactly about the price is it that you're uncomfortable with, right? You can say, oh, and in all the years that you've been looking at getting your remodeling done, how is it you've come up with that is what the price should be, right? Like start asking them some questions about it because that's not generally the case. They are typically misinformed and typically are trying to do too much. It's not that you are too expensive. But if you're not confident enough, you end up walking away thinking that you're supposed to lower your price. At the end of the day, you just have to do a better job educating them and gaining their trust. So that's everything I have for you. High pressure closing. That's for people that just don't have a proper system. Discounting, if you have to discount, then you just don't have a good sales process. Low confidence closing, right? That is also something for people who don't believe in their value. So, but if you follow what we talk about here, you're going to have a process. You'll be able to believe and have the homeowner believe in the transformation that you're going to offer them. And you know that the clarity and confidence will win every time. So you go and you lead, right? Not like a salesman, but like the remodeling professional that you are. And then you just, hey, the next natural step is we move forward. Here you go. Here's how much the design process is going to be. It's $2,500. How are you planning to pay for that? Check, cash, credit card. Let's get started. So anyone that's new, again, if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments to chat section. Otherwise, that's about all I have for you tonight. Happy to hear, what niche you're in, what's your specialty. Are you looking to get into a different specialty? So Alaska, there might not be as many people on. It looks like we've had a bunch come in, come out. Trying to look through the chat now. But yeah, if just let me know what your specialty is, what part of the country you're in. All right. But yeah, we're coming up. It's been a few minutes here. I don't have much else to say unless if there's something you missed, I could go back to. But it's a total mindset shift the way I'm talking to you about doing your remodeling sales presentation. You got to bring up price first and early, and then you naturally you say to you ask the homeowner, "Hey, have you understood? Is everything good? Does have what we said? Does that make sense?" Like you're getting these things called micro agreements. So as long as they're saying yes throughout the process, then you know that okay. So we've discussed this. You've shared the problem. I've repeated back to you the problem. We both understand the problem. You've shared with me some of the solutions that you would like. I understand. I've repeated those back to you. We have good agreement about what solutions you're looking for. We've talked about you've shared the time frame. I repeated that back to you. I understand the time frame, right? So you have an idea when the homeowner wants to get started. You let them know when you could get started. You've discussed ballpark pricing. Mr. and Ms. Smith, I let you know that projects like yours typically cost between da-da-da and da-da-da. So as long as I can put together a package that falls in that range, are you ready to move forward? Right? And then just like that. All right. So I appreciate y'all being here. And that's going to be the end for tonight. If I can, we'll catch you next time. Take care, folks. All right. And we are going to end the share over here. So, yep. All right, YouTubes. That's everything we have. Let's see. Yeah, if anybody has any feedback for those of you that are watching the videos this long, if there's something I could do to help make it more enjoyable, let's say you watch somebody else or you've watched and they did something that I'm not doing, or there's something that I'm doing that you're like, that really sucks when you do that. Feedback is welcome. You can always shoot it over. I'm not saying I'll make the change, but I'm open to hearing what it is, obviously. And that's life, right? You don't know if you don't grow, and you don't grow if you don't ask. And all right. All right, folks, we're done. Peace.